Well, hey guys, this is Graham and welcome to video 3 of the Pro Tools Bootcamp video series. Hope you're having fun so far. This video, we're going to look at recording MIDI and specifically virtual instruments and the ones that come with Pro Tools and how you can use them to your advantage to make your song that much more cool. As that's what it's all about, is making cool music, right? So the quick lesson on MIDI is, and I'm not going to get too technical because you only need to know what you need to know. MIDI is just information. It is just note information. When you play on a keyboard or you enter it in directly on the track, like I'll show you in a minute if you don't have a keyboard, you are just telling Pro Tools, please use these notes, maybe a G chord or maybe an E followed by an A. The MIDI remembers those notes and then you just assign a plugin or a virtual sampled instrument to those notes and it will play through that plugin, okay? It'll tell your great sounding piano instrument to play this chord. So MIDI, when I say recording MIDI, we mean just recording exactly that, just data. It's not actual audio like these audio tracks here. But it's very cool because it's flexible. You can change the notes or the rhythm after the fact and still have it play through the same instrument. So let's take a look at how quickly you can do that in Pro Tools, how you can adjust your performance to make it better, and then how you can implement this even if you don't have what I'm about to show you in Pro Tools 7 and 8. So even for older version of Pro Tools, I'll show you how to do that. We're going to start with an instrument track. Bring up your new track dialog and choose stereo instrument track. Now how I'm doing this without using the mouse is you hold down the command or control key, and while holding that down, if you arrow left or right, you're going to get mono or stereo, and still while you're holding down the command or control key, you arrow up or down, and that changes the type of track. Pretty simple. And then click enter. You don't even have to use your mouse. And there is our blank instrument track. Let's bring it up here in the middle. And what I want to do is lay down a couple of parts. I want to show you how simple to do this in Pro Tools. When you bring up the instrument track, make sure you can see the inserts. And the first thing you want to do is choose an instrument. So I'm going to choose the first empty plugin insert. And I'm going to come over here to instrument. And I'm going to take a look at the instruments available to me. And let's pull up Expand. Expand is a fantastic instrument that comes free with any Pro Tools system 7 or higher. And what it basically is every instrument you can imagine. If you choose factory default here, I've got, look at these, you got pads, you've got synths, you've got arpeggios, you've got leads, you have acoustic pianos, you've got pretty much every type of sound available to you. And you can choose them and you can rock and roll. Now, once you've installed, or excuse me, once you've inserted the plugin, then you want to record enable. And if you have your USB keyboard controller plugged in, go ahead and play something. And that's as simple as it is. I'm already getting that sound into Pro Tools. Now, ahead of time, if you have a USB keyboard controller, for instance, I'm using the M Audio Oxygen. This is a simple 2-octave, 1.5 foot long little mini keyboard. It's light, it has no sounds built into it. It just has a USB cable that plugs right into my Mac. And once you've installed the drivers once, Pro Tools sees it all the time. You don't have to set it anymore. So when I record enable a blank instrument track, I'll always be able to play through it. Very simple. If you have a MIDI keyboard with actual MIDI cables, depending on which audio interface you have, you can probably plug those directly into the back of it. The inbox 2 and up typically have the MIDI inputs. And again, once you've set that up once in Pro Tools, and your manual will show you how to do that really simply, it will always be available to you. And it's that simple to audition sound. So now what you do is you fire open the plugin, and again, I want to lay down something here in the chorus. And I think I want to use a type of organ. And again, look, you got all these organs to choose from. I'm going to take a look specifically at, I think, the Dirty 70s. I kind of like this one. Very cool. Very old school. So you can audition it simply by changing the patch. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of the plugin right now, but once you've fired up a patch that you like, let's say, all you're going to do is find the place you want to record, just like we did with audio. So let's take a look. I've got chorus 2. Let's just take a listen to it without the plugin. And that's where I want to lay down this organ part. So what I'm going to do first is, like we did with audio, I'm going to double click on instrument 1 because that means nothing to me. I'm going to call it organ. So now when I create MIDI regions, they're going to be labeled accordingly, okay? So it's very important. Got it record enabled. I'm going to back up here 2 bars, and I'm just going to record. Alright, so you can sort of see that I'm not a good keyboard player, and that's okay. And that's actually going to help me show you how Pro Tools can make you sound better. I'm a guitar player, and keyboards are not my forte, and that's why I love MIDI in Pro Tools. And let me show you. What we got here is this beautiful MIDI region. It's labeled Organ 01, and if we come down here to this little arrow on the right, and that will show us our region bin that we looked at last video, and there we are. Organ 1, it's got a little MIDI input icon, that's what that is. So these are all audio. They got a little mini waveform. This one has what looks like the MIDI cable connection, so you know that's a MIDI region. And again, if we happen to delete that, we could simply drag this right back in to exactly where we stopped. So I've got my notes. I'm going to hide that. Got my MIDI notes, but I kind of flubbed a few notes, and it's not perfect. So what I want to do is show you how we edit this right here in there. We're going to look at editing audio later, but I'm going to do editing MIDI right now because it's easy and it's fast, and it's all, in my mind, part of recording MIDI. Now, you've got this in region view. If you click here, it says regions. This is a lot like Audio Track's waveform view. This means it just shows you the region. Now, if you have Pro Tools 7 or older, the way you're going to want to edit this is click on Notes view. And what that allows you to do is simply click, mess with notes just like that. You can drag. And if you're in the Smart tool, which is these 3 combined, so you click on this top thing, it'll allow you to even drag notes back or whatever you like. Undo that. This is how you're going to want to look at MIDI if you have Pro Tools 7 or older. And a little tip for you if you are using an older version, select what you want to look at and either zoom in with the track height or use toggle edit, which is the letter E, and that will make it bigger and zoom in a little bit for you. And we'll show you in a later video how to tweak that, but by default it'll usually do that. If not, you can always choose to make the window bigger. You can look at it, and that'll let you edit a little bit easier. Okay? Now, if you're in Pro Tools 8 or later, they've created the MIDI window, which is not much of a window. It's more of just a faster way to edit. So if I wanted to edit something by hand, I would simply select this region, double click it, and that's going to open up the MIDI editor, which it looks very familiar to what I just showed you when we zoomed in on the tracks. It's all it is. It's just a bigger window, just a way to see it. And so I've got my notes here. I can simply change notes. I can hold them out longer, or I can find where I flubbed, like here, and select it, click backspace. Select that, click backspace. I'm just deleting some notes here. Let's take a listen. So what I want to do here is I want to drag these all the way to the edge because I kind of jumped off a little too quickly. See what I'm doing? I'm just slightly tweaking the performance. I'm holding these to the very end, you know, making up for where I lack. And it's that simple. When you're done, you can just Command or Control W closes out that window, and you can see the notes are held over. So little tweaks you can do right then and there. Now, two things I want to show you. I've got it sounding, in my mind, a little flat. The keyboard's a little teeny flat, and that may be because my guitars and bass were tuned a little sharp when I recorded, and as much as I try to get them in tune, that can happen. The beautiful thing about MIDI is you can fine tune it, especially right here, and expand. So instead of being a little flat, I can... It's that simple, a little bit more in tune. So you can tighten those things up manually, but the one thing that may be very helpful is just gluing the whole bit of MIDI tighter together instantly. And we do that with quantizing. You could do quantizing in a couple of ways. One way is through the real-time properties, okay? You come over here to this menu that you can drop down, choose real-time properties, and that lets you see these 5 real-time properties. And the one we're going to look at specifically that you'll use the most is quantize enable. And when you do that, you get an option right to the right of it. You want to quantize to the 16th, the 8th, quarter note, what have you. You can even dot or triple it. And usually 16th note is fine. But in this case, I know 8th note should be fine. And by default, Pro Tools may not actually shift what it looks like, but you're going to hear this is nice and tight. Real perfect, right to the downbeat, real simple. So that may be all you need. You don't have to physically adjust it. You don't have to even go in and manually do anything. And in fact, if at a later date you don't like the quantizing, just get rid of it and it's gone. Or change what you quantize to. This is the beauty of these real-time properties is you can record it, slap on the quantize and not have to mess with any menus, and you can move on, and it's going to at least tighten it up while you're recording the rest of your instruments. And then later, if you really wanted to manually tighten up a note or two, you could do that by double clicking on the region. The other way to quantize, I'll undo that, and again I will option click to get rid of that, is from the event menu. You go event operations, quantize, or option or alt 0 does the same thing. And it brings up this dialog box, okay? Now, what this does is let you select something that you want to quantize, and it's going to say, okay, what grid do you want to quantize to? This is much like what we saw, 16th, 8th, what have you. By default, it's going to look just like that. Okay, 8th note. And if you click apply, watch the little notes here to the right. It's hard to see, but they basically, let me undo that. You can see them shift a little bit. Redo that. Undo. They are snapping everything into place permanently. It's doing the same thing that the real-time quantizing did, only you can see it change and it's permanent. Now, if you undo that, one thing to be aware of is very, very cool. Strength. Now, this is, if it's unchecked, this is going to quantize exactly 100%. That means it's going to be 100% every note on the 8th note, like you chose, on the grid. Now, naturally, we don't play like robots, so you may want to, check the box that says strength and dial it back a bit, maybe 90% or something. So it's a little bit off. It's going to sound perfect to most ears, but it's not going to sound robotic. And another thing you can do also is choose randomize. Now, this is great if you're playing a lot of chords, a lot of piano. It'll quantize it so it's nice and tight, but then randomize will move some of the actual variance and the hits a little bit. Like if I crank up randomize and click apply, look at how it shifted my notes off together. Yeah, so it makes it more real, If you get rid of randomize, so we'll undo that, get rid of randomize and just apply. It's going to keep everything nice and tight. So this is something to play with. Choose randomize, dial it down a little bit, whatever you think, and go with it. You're going to get a nice, real sounding, but nice and tight with the grid performance. So I like to envision quantize not as a fix for everything, but it allows you to play your heart out. And once you've tweaked the right notes in the MIDI editor, just quantize a bit to reel the performance in so it's just a little bit tighter with your drums, with everything else, and you're going to have a great sound. And once you've clicked apply, you can just close out of that window. There you go. And it's like I can actually play the organ. That is the basics of using virtual instruments in MIDI in Pro Tools. Now let me show you one thing. If you don't have a keyboard controller, you're not alone here. You don't have to skip over these great instruments because you can still access them without a keyboard controller. You're going to be a little bit more limited, but here's how I would do it. You know, fire open a track, and let's say we'll stick with this one track. Say you wanted to lay a part down here. All you have to do is come over to Notes View so you can see and manipulate the notes. And again, I'll select here and click letter E to zoom in a bit. And what you're going to use is the pencil tool. You click this tool up here, doesn't matter which one it is, just click it, and the pencil lets you create notes just by clicking. And then when you hover over a note that already exists, you can move it. It's that simple. And then if you come back over to the Smart tool, you can drag those notes out. And you can even select them. You can press C for copy, V for paste, V for paste, V for paste, and you have a little real simple. See what I'm saying? You have access to create the chords one note at a time, drag them as you need, copy. You can even option. See, when you click Option or Alt on the PC, a little plus sign comes up next to the hand. Option, click and drag. And it's as simple as that. And you can switch back to region view, treat it like a region. Come over here, select, Command or Control D. I'll duplicate. And you're making music. I'm not using the keyboard at all. So you have access to any of the tones, any of the notes, any of the instruments simply by using the pencil tool. If you're using a plugin like Boom, for example, it comes with Pro Tools 8, you can use the pencil tool to trigger entire drum loops. And you can just enter them in, move them around. You can create entire drum patterns without even using the keyboard. So don't feel limited if you don't have the keyboard controller yet. It may be something as you start making more music. And if you're looking at some things that would be a good investment in your studio, and again, I'm never pushing you to buy a lot of gear you don't need, but one thing that you will always use is a simple keyboard controller, and you can get one for under $100. And it's a light plastic little thing that's going to give you hands-on access to all these sounds, okay? But again, you can start right away, right out of the box, right with your mouse. And I've done this for years. So the thing with MIDI is you are creating data. These are just notes. And as cool as you may like that sound, you'll be mixing this song and you may say, you know what, I don't even like the organ. You can come up here and choose strings. And you could choose legato, tremolo strings and take a listen. With a click of a mouse, you've got an entirely different instrument, but the data, the notes, the performance is recorded. And that is a beautiful aspect of using MIDI in your sessions. So I encourage you to use them. Take a look at all the instruments that are offered to you. If you have Pro Tools 7 or later, you have a ton of great instruments available to you. You can always get some extra ones if you want, but I say use what you have, man. Use the ones that come with Pro Tools. Use something like Expand. That alone is going to offer you a ton of advancement and a ton of great sounds to enhance what you've already got with your basic guitars, keyboards, bass, whatever you're recording with, drums. So that is recording MIDI. Stick around for the next video. We're going to go into editing your entire track, including audio and comping, and really we're moving towards building a song here and getting things ready for a mix. Thanks again for joining us on this Pro Tools Bootcamp video series. We'll see you soon.